Hello, my little friend. Are you all tucked in? Is your soft blanket wrapped snugly around you? Today, the Dream Weaver has come to visit us wearing a very special hat. It is the color of ripe blueberries, with a tiny golden bell hanging from the tip. The Dream Weaver sat quietly on the windowsill, where light snow twirls outside, and decided to peek into the window of a very cozy house. He is so curious to find out how our little white cloud Snowflake the kitten is doing. Let us listen closely to his new story. Part 1. The Scent of Jam and a Winter Miracle. Saturday morning arrived. It was quiet, gentle, and smelled of freshly cooked pancakes. Peace filled the house. Mother and Freya went about their chores slowly, enjoying the silence. Mother stood by the stove, flipping golden warm pancakes, while Freya helped her set the table. The little girl carefully filled beautiful glass bowls and tiny jam jars with thick golden apple jam and cherry preserves as bright as rubies. Every now and then, Freya quietly licked the jam spoon. It was so very sweet. They had made this jam together with Mother back in the summer, when Grandmother brought over whole baskets of ripe apples and juicy cherries from her garden. Grandmother and Grandfather had a big, big orchard, and Freya loved visiting them more than anything in the world, running through the soft grass and picking berries right from the branches. Now, these jars held a little piece of summer sunshine inside them. They kept glancing at the clock. Father was due home any minute. Together, they prepared this delicious breakfast and waited impatiently for him to return. The kitten was there the whole time, too. Little Snowflake busily explored her surroundings. She sniffed the corners of the kitchen, tapped the chair legs with her paw, and watched the steam dancing over the kettle with great curiosity. Suddenly, the front door opened, and Father stepped into the hallway. He looked a little tired, for he had spent the whole night making sure every house in the city was bright and warm. Sparkles of frost still shimmered on his shoulders, and his jacket carried the scent of fresh, wintry air. Freya ran to meet him, and behind her, a tiny white miracle with emerald eyes tumbled along on its little paws. "Aye. Look, Papa," Freya whispered. "This is Snowflake. She chose us yesterday evening in the snowy lane." Father knelt down, and his kind grey eyes grew warm. He reached out a big warm hand, and the kitten trustingly touched it with her pink nose. "What a beauty!" Father smiled. A True Winter Princess. Part 2. A Secret Shared by the Fireplace. The whole family sat down at the table. The pancakes were fluffy and warm, and the tea was fragrant. Meanwhile, Snowflake received her portion of morning milk and was now sweetly washing herself in a patch of sunlight that fell onto the rug through the window. Father looked at his daughter, then at the kitten, and set his cup aside. His face became serious, but his eyes remained very gentle. "Freya?" he called softly. "Snowflake is wonderful. But let's sit for a moment and think. Imagine, perhaps in another house somewhere, a little girl or a boy is sitting right now. They are looking out the window at the falling snow and crying because their favorite kitten is lost. Surely they are searching for her under every bush and in every lane. Freya hugged her knees, and her blue eyes grew sad like a misty morning. She had already grown to love this little white cloud so much, and did not want to part with her for even a second. "We must be honest," Father continued, stroking his daughter's fair hair. "If we want to be truly kind people, we must help Snowflake find her old home, if she had one. We cannot simply take someone else's joy for ourselves without trying to return it. Honesty and respect for the feelings of others are the most important things we have." Just then, there was a soft knock at the door. It was Oliver. He had brought a few smooth wooden boards and a small hammer. "Freya, look!" he cried happily from the doorway. "I've been thinking about Snowflake all morning and decided to build her a real castle. We'll make her a house with a soft bed so she can sleep right in your room, in her very own corner. She'll be so cozy there." Freya was about to agree happily, but Father gently stopped Oliver. "Wait, Oliver. That is a wonderful idea, and you are a true friend. But it would be right if we waited a little while before building. First, we have another important task. We will print out notices with a photo of our little guest. We'll write that we found a kitten and ask the owners to call us. We must give people a chance to find their friend." Oliver lowered his wooden boards and looked seriously at Father, then at Freya. He understood that Father was speaking of something very important. "All right," Oliver said quietly. "Notices first, then. We will wait." Part 3. Messages in the Frosty Air. Father took out his phone and snapped a few pictures. In the photos, Snowflake looked like a tiny magical creature. Her snow-white fur shimmered and her emerald eyes looked into the lens with curiosity and trust. Soon, the printer began to hum softly, and one by one, sheets of paper began to slide out. Each one had a photo of the kitten and Freya's home telephone number. Well, team, Father said, putting on his warm jacket, it's time to head out. We must tell everyone that this little traveller is staying with us. The whole family and Oliver went outside. The day was truly magical. The frosty air was crisp, and the snow that had fallen overnight had turned the city into a clean white sheet. The trees stood still, draped in silvery silk, as if they too were listening to what was happening around them. The children walked along the familiar paths, and the snow under their boots sang its creaky winter song. Creak crunch, creak crunch. They carefully pinned the notices to the special boards at shop entrances and on lamp posts. Freya was very worried. She walked along, looking at the fluffy snowdrifts, and in her little heart, two feelings were fighting. On one hand, she desperately wanted Snowflake to stay with her forever. On the other, she remembered Father's words about other people's feelings. She imagined another little girl who might be sad in her home right now. This thought made Freya feel sorry for the stranger, and she tried to hang the notices as straight as possible so that everyone would notice them. "We are doing the right thing, Freya," Oliver encouraged her, noticing how quiet his friend had become. "We are following our conscience." A moment of silence. "My little friend, let us take a small rest together now. Close your eyes and imagine you are walking across this clean, crunchy snow with the children. Take a deep, deep breath. Feel how fresh and frosty the air is. And breathe out very, very slowly. You feel so calm and light at heart because you know being honest feels very good. Let us listen on. They walked through all the neighbouring streets until the very last sheet of paper was gone. Snowflakes began to fall lazily from the sky again, drifting down over their notices as if nature wanted to add a little more magic to their important task. The children returned home, and now there was only one thing left to do. Wait. Part 4. The Mystery of the Quiet Phone. Back at home, the children immediately took off their warm jackets and ran into the living room. Little Snowflake was already awake and waiting for them, sitting on the rug. She looked so much like she belonged there that Freya unintentionally caught her breath. To distract themselves from their worried thoughts, Oliver pulled a paper candy wrapper on a long string from his pocket. "Look, Snowflake. Try and catch it," he cried merrily. A real game began. The white kitten, jumping funnily on all four paws, chased the rustling mouse. She would freeze, crouching low to the rug and wiggling her fluffy tail, then perform an incredible somersault in the air. Her emerald eyes sparkled with excitement, and her white coat flashed around the room like a rolling snowball. The children laughed at her antics and for a moment forgot their worries. Ugh. But Freya still kept glancing at the home telephone. It sat on the stand by the window, large, black, and perfectly silent. The girl listened intently to every sound from the street, jumping if someone passed by the window. But the phone did not ring. A cozy silence filled the house, broken only by the ticking of the old wall clock. Tick-tock, tick-tock. Freya sat on the floor beside the kitten and, when the little one grew tired of playing, gently pulled her close. Snowflake's fur was as soft as a cloud. You know, Oliver, Freya whispered, stroking the kitten. I want her to stay so much. But if they come for her, if that little girl calls, I will carry Snowflake out myself and give her right into her hands. I don't want anyone else to cry because of us. I want everyone to be happy. Oliver looked seriously at his friend and nodded. You are being a true friend, Freya. And Papa is right. The heart should be as clean as this snow. Father, who had been reading the newspaper in his armchair the whole time, looked at the children over his glasses. He saw how his daughter was learning to understand and value the feelings of others. He knew this lesson in honesty would stay with the children for the rest of their lives. Part 5. When the heart is as pure as snow. Saturday evening descended softly and silently upon the lane of 4 houses. The sky turned a deep, dark blue, and the streetlights flickered on one by one, turning the falling snowflakes into golden dust. The telephone in Freya's house remained silent. It seemed that winter itself was guarding the peace of this little family. Father set aside his newspaper and walked to the window. He looked out at the snow-covered street, where warm light glowed in the windows of the neighboring houses. Well then, he said softly, putting his arms around Freya's and Oliver's shoulders. We have done all that our conscience asks. We are giving the past a chance to find its way into the present. But the phone is silent, and that means Snowflake stays home tonight. Oliver beamed. So, tomorrow we build the castle? A real one? From the boards I brought? Not just yet. Father smiled and said, gently, we will wait a few more days, and only if no one answers after all that time will we make her the coziest corner. For then we will know for certain that she is a part of our big, happy family. Freya felt her heart fill with an incredible lightness. She realized an important thing. When you are honest with yourself and respect the feelings of others, waiting does not seem hard. On the contrary, it makes the joy to come even more precious. Now, as she stroked the kitten's white fur, she knew she was doing the right thing. Mother brought warm blankets, and they all settled by the fireplace together. Snowflake, curled up in a cozy ball on Freya's lap, began to purr softly at first, then louder and louder. The Dreamweaver's Farewell. The Dreamweaver sees that it is time to close your eyes. He slowly walks through the room, touching your eyelashes with his magical, invisible feather. In Freya's house, the lights go out. Father is sleeping sweetly, knowing that all is quiet in his city. Oliver is dreaming of his wooden boards, preparing to build the best cat house in the world. And Freya falls asleep with a smile, feeling the steady breathing of her little white cloud beneath her hand. Outside the window, the snow falls just as silently. The telephone is silent. Stillness fills the house, and only the frost paints silvery flowers on the glass. The Dreamweaver wishes you the brightest and kindest of dreams. May your heart always know how to wait and how to be honest. Remember that kindness is the brightest light, warming us even in the deepest frost. Sleep, my little one. Your bed is your cloud, and your blanket is your warm protection. And while you rest, the story prepares for a new journey. Next time, we will find out if Snowflake finds her home and who the mysterious owner is. So you don't miss our next meeting, ask your mother or father to check if our magic bell is glowing. Good night.